Hey guys, a few days ago I heard an interview with a former CEO who was asked what was the biggest failure in your life? Where do you think you have failed the most? And he said, without thinking a second, he said, I failed the most in suppressing my feminine side. I failed the most in suppressing my feminine side. And this is not the first time that I hear this from a conscious man, that I hear this more from conscious men than I hear this from professional women or female leaders. And within the course of the next video clips, I will share with you why, because I was really exploring this. He continued in saying, not only have I suppressed this in my own life, and I also suppress it in my teams and employees because I push them to hyper masculinity. He said, now, and I get so much better in this, he said, now I'm making life-enhancing decisions, I make restorative decisions, I create room for playtime, creativity, for emotional connection with my body, for connecting with the higher purpose, higher picture, and my intuition. And I make sure that when I work, I create an environment for relational work and connecting with each other and having compassion for each other. This is a time of collaboration. And I want to really take this red line and build on this, because this is exactly what I'm doing with the work, the community work for female leaders and professionals. And because we're starting this week, I wanted to talk a little bit what's happening behind the scenes. Not that I can give any details of my participants because I need to protect them unless they give me permission. But I can definitely share essences, insights, learnings. Where's also the discussion happening right now in this time of inclusion and diversity and equity, to also think and be mindful about making holistic choices and making smart choices and not intellectualize concepts that are not owned and not embodied. And this is why the suppression of the feminine and the embodiment of the feminine and female leadership, of feminine leadership, is so important in my work. And the women we have chosen, because they've been selected this time, so much got it. They couldn't nail it, but when I was talking about it, they so much resonated with it. And I could see that I was touching a very tender topic and a tender point, that they felt that they like to heal, and they felt like they like to embrace it in their lives as leaders, and also in their lives, in their private lives as moms and as partners and as daughters. So we will talk about the suppression of the feminine and how important it is in this time where we're living still in the patriarchal system, and that has been going on for 650 years. So there's a lot of imbalance that we see in the world right now. And we do see the shaking, we do feel the intensity of the world. We are overwhelmed of also miscommunication, misinformation, but definitely we are feeling inside more empty, we are feeling more functioning, coping mechanisms are coming more forward. I see more and more people also in businesses that have been shown as pretty safe and stable. More and more people are going into therapy out of depression, out of alcohol problems, workaholic problems, inner emptiness. So there is a need for a healing that has already shown itself since years, but we as human nature can be so strong and functioning for such a long time and be so strong and surviving that sometimes our boat needs to be shaken quite heavily and quite long until we are broken enough to say enough is enough. It's time for holistic leadership. It's time for healing ourselves. It's time for moving forward, and it's enough of suffering. So we are talking about suppression of the feminine. What is the pathway in balancing, incorporating, integrating, also in collaborating, and not going against each other, not talking or choosing one or the other, and letting go and being mindful about the awareness or the danger and the competition of hypermasculinity. Because in this state, we cannot come forward into new solutions, into new perspectives, into making smarter, more liberated choices. We will always be stuck in the same kind of red race. And then we wonder, why are things not really changing? Why are we keeping, why do we keep repeating the same pattern over and over and over again, from generation to generation? Just the form is different, but in essence, it's always the same kind of suffering we seem to create for ourselves. And I think we are ready enough, and maybe also ready enough, to do the work, the inner work that is needed in order to move forward. And that leads me to the second and the next aspect, which is leading yourself first. So this is one aspect that I find extremely important in the beginning of my community work, to really emphasize having a certain practical exercise that you do on a daily basis. I'm not talking about just one time a week, I'm talking daily, so that we have a conscious practice that we return to and anchor in, that helps us become more aware, teach us the problem-solving repertoire, the self-aware, self-reflective tools, the questions we need to ask ourselves, but also ask our employees and also ask our communities. And also leading ourselves first means, when we talk about resilience, what is our self-regulation? What is self-regulation and what is it not? And what is also our self-care or self-compassion? What is our self-talk? And how are we leading ourselves? So from there, we can only lead others from a very aware point. And that struck many women, because many women I have been working with, they were not very compassionate with themselves. They definitely didn't take care of themselves first. They definitely were not aware how important their self-regulation skills were. They definitely had not been taught about, self-regulation. And if we are learning and teaching resilience, it's nothing that we can really learn on a PowerPoint presentation or in a quick workshop. It's something that we need to practice, something that we, in a very safe place and safe container, and that people who do this for a long time are strong facilitators holding the place for us to learn this. Because we are not jumping out of comfort zone in our own will. People love to be in comfort zones, including myself, but you need to be tender with people, how far they go out, but people learn out of the comfort zone. So you need to guide them step by step, sometimes tiny steps, sometimes in frustration. But once we've done that and we don't go against that and we go with that flow, it is so much more revealing, it is so much more beneficial, and it's so much more rewarding in a way, quicker and a clear mind and bravery to embrace and face what needs to be faced, so that we can move through this intensity together as soon as possible. For now, bye-bye.